Hi, what if I told you that what happens in your childhood can affect how your brain works for the rest of your life? And not just in memories, but also in areas such as behavior, emotions, and your mental stability. What are ACEs? So, ACEs are traumatic experiences that occur before the age of 18, such as abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. All of these experiences greatly impact a person's development into adulthood. Some examples of ACEs are physical abuse, emotional abuse, substance abuse, and having a parent that has a mental disorder and is not properly treated. So today I am going to talk about adverse childhood experiences, which are also known as ACEs. So ACEs have a long-lasting effects on how you relate with other people, your attachment styles, the impact in your brain, and your psychological and cognitive process development. That's why early intervention and developing healthy coping strategies are extremely important to be able to treat ACEs. ACEs also greatly impacts the psychological aspect. All of these effects that happen in childhood don't just disappear. They, as I previously said, go over time into your adulthood, and people will develop anxiety, depression, and have a lot of emotional instability. One key thing that we need to understand is that people that have gone through ACEs are more prone to developing any predispositions of mental disorders such as bipolar, schizophrenia, and BPD. Those are the most common mental disorders and the most serious one that people develop. That's why intervention and developing coping strategies are extremely important to be able to treat ACEs. Okay, so one important thing we need to know about ACEs is the severe impact it causes on the brain. So ACEs affects areas of the brain related to decision making, stress response, and memory and focus. ACEs can also severely damage areas of the brain like the amygdala and the hippocampus. The amygdala is the one in charge of the fight or flight response, and the hippocampus is the one in charge of the memory and focus. So for example, the damage to the amygdala will cause the brain to be very, very sensible to danger because the brain never had the chance to adapt to stress. So that your brain will always be in constant fight or flight mode. That's why ACEs is not just only emotional, it's also biological. This also greatly influences your attachment styles, which is basically how you relate with other people. There are 4 types of attachment styles, which are secure, disorganized, avoidant, and anxious. A person that has previously gone through ACEs will most likely develop an avoidant or an anxious style. I think this topic is very important because a lot of people go through things in their childhood that no one really talks about enough or pays attention. So raising awareness to a topic as sensitive as ACEs can increment the chances of a person getting out of a situation like that. The most important thing to know about ACEs is that it does not define your future. With the right therapy, they're getting out of a toxic environment and be surrounded by loved ones can increment the chances of you healing and getting better. So even though ACEs shape how you think, how you behave, and what you feel, it does not control how you will become later on in life.